Saints Giants betting preview, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to try and find some winners for the New Orleans Saints versus New York Giants game coming up today. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the entire thing here. First, what is the actual spread, you may ask? Well, I have on the screen bet stamp. Looks like you can find 4.5s. FanDuel. I'm not sure what Fliff is, but FanDuel does have a 4.5. But for the majority, 5. Going towards 5.5. DraftKings hanging to 5.5. ESPN bet 5.5. So it seems like it's going that way. So if you want a 4.5, you better go quick to FanDuel. It'll probably be gone by the time this video comes out. So we'll call it 5. We'll just call it 5. But if we're looking at VSiN over here, if we go to the odds board, opened up at 4. It is being steamed all the way to 5, 5.5. So the Saints are getting a ton of money. I'm going to assume the betting splits is going to be pretty much tickets and handle is going to be on the Saints, which is driving this number. Anytime that happens, that means that the public and the sharps are on the same side, which happens. Like it's kind of it's wrong to think that betting with the public or betting with the sharps is necessarily right. You always want to be more with the sharps, but the public gets it right sometimes too. And it's situations like this where there is agreement. So let's go ahead and take a look at the splits. So 69% of the tickets are on the Saints. 53. Actually, this is a pretty decent bet split because theoretically, like 53%, 47%, you wouldn't see like this much steam. You're talking about 4 to 5.5. It might even go to 6 come kickoff. So I would say, like a 50-50 bet split, which 53%, 47% is pretty close to 50-50. Like it shouldn't move that much. This is a pretty dramatic one. So that 53% is some legitimate thought makers. All right, let's go to a Circa. Circa's got 94% of the handle on the Saints, 70% of the tickets. So the first one we look at is DraftKings, obviously. So definitely the side is difficult when you get into a situation like this because at 4, like 4.5 even, way less 4.5, but 4, like the obvious play is the Saints, right? But I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, take it at 5.5, take it at 6. Like in a way, the value's been sucked out of that, so it's very difficult to give you like the side. As far as the total, it opens up 39.5, bet up to 41. So let's see here. So the total 41. Majority on the under. Yeah, I would play the under. It feels like an under game. It feels like the Giants just can't do much. The Saints, without Taysom, you would think they're kind of sluggish. They just don't have the weapons. Like they just don't have the playmakers to roll out a 30-point win or something like that without. We're down to MVS is basically carrying the entire Saints. So I would say under is probably the move here. If we look at real quick, if we look at the composite power ratings, again, this is how many points above an average team a team is. So let's see. The Saints are 23rd in the composite. Who's the high watermark for the Saints? High watermark is DVOA, has the Saints at 18. So DVOA is a little high. The low is Neflo, has the Saints at 25. So 23, minus 1.8 on the composite. The Giants are the 32nd in the composite. The high mark for the Giants is Neflo, which is 28. Everyone else pretty much has them at 32 or 31. So this is a huge difference. On a neutral, according to the composite power ratings, on a neutral, this would have the Saints 6 points better than the Giants. Give the Giants a 1.5 for home field, and that's probably a reach. I would say more like a point. And that's how you get to 5, 5.5. So, yeah, if you're talking about strictly composite power ratings would have this game 5, 5.5, which, yeah, if you're looking at the opener of 4, then huge discrepancy there. So you can see where that number gets. So let's go to the good old-fashioned props. Okay, so a lot of people have asked me to explain how I kind of do this. and like the game script and all that. Okay, so let's start with the universal truth. The universal truth is that the Saints are 5.5 point road favorites. They are expected to win this game comfortably. Now, you may say, well, James, 5 points isn't comfortable. 5 points is not even a touchdown. True, but look at the points less like that and look at it more like how a team is looked at versus their opponent. So 5 points on the road is a marked difference in two teams. That is telling you that the Saints are a much better team than the Giants, okay? So let's just start with the universal truth that the Saints will be in command of the game, winning the game. What will the Saints do if they are in command of the game and are winning the game? They're going to run the football, all right? They're going to run the ball. We also know that the Giants are down some players. Lawrence on the defensive line, which is not going to help anything. They already weren't great. They were already DVOA'd at a 20th. You can go ahead and pull up DVOA here. So if we look at DVOA, let's see. Pass defense, the Giants are 28th. Nice. Run defense, the Giants are 20th. Again, Lawrence is out, so that's a little bit skewed. The Saints are going to be bottom of the barrel in both. Saints are 14th in pass defense, but Marshawn Lattimore, there's some skewed there as well. And then run defense, Saints are 32. Okay, so we can assume that the Saints are going to try and run the football. All right, Alvin Kamara is the first person we go to. Rush attempts are usually around 16.5, 17.5. Let's see, 18.5, 19.5. All right, so my only concern with this, the Taysom Hill, that's why it's a little higher. Taysom Hill's out, so those 5-6 carries he usually gets are now being distributed to Alvin. So what I would say here is that I would take his yards before I took his attempts. So his yards 79.5 at MGM, not bad. I would look to that over to score a touchdown or score a rushing touchdown. Let's see. Touchdown, a little too high for my blood. Receptions would be 4.5, 5.5, 4.5. That kind of seems high too. Like, why would they be dumping the ball off to him? I'd probably play the under at 5.5. That seems a little crazy. I like his yards. All right, 79.5. I like Alvin's yards. His attempts, I would say no, because you're always concerned about a blowout. If we are working with the universal truth that the Saints are going to run away with this game and the Saints are going to be at an advantageous point throughout the entire game, at some point they may say, well, why would we keep running Alvin? Like, why would we keep just pounding AK? Let's utilize Kendre Miller. Okay, Kendre Miller, his yards, I think, were 26.5. I was talking about this with the infamous 228 Syndicate Loge betting group. 27.5 for Kendre Miller. I think it was 26.5, so this has gone up a little bit, but this seems like a game where you would unleash Kendre Miller. Like, you want to see what you got. You want to see what Kendre can do. If you are up, especially in the second half, why just tire out Alvin Kamara? Why run him? Why run him 25 times? That doesn't make any sense. I think you get your Alvin 15 carries, 16 carries, and then you let Kendre get 10 carries. And if Kendre gets... Y'all hear downtown New Orleans? I mean, I'm trying to do a video. The face of the franchise is trying to do a video, and we got sirens. I mean, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Damn. This is crazy. It sounds like... y'all hear that? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, is this an alien invasion? Is this an alien invasion outside of my window? We're just going to power through it. If Kendre gets, 8 carries, this hits absolutely no problem at all. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I would assume no Taysom. Okay, so none of that gadget stuff or none of the Taysom quarterback option stuff, along with the possibility of a blowout. I think Kendre might be my favorite bet of the day. I think it's fantastic, unless something comes out where he's limited because he is coming off of the injury reserve. But all indications have been that he is there is no limitation. He's just going to get full workload. And I mean, I think the Saints are in a position where they need this. They need to, they need to try him out and see what he can do for the future. So I do like Kendra Miller. I would take Alvin Yards because, we always talk about like the game script or whatever. So how are the Saints going to build a lead? It's with Alvin Kamara. So I would definitely look at that. As far as like Derek Carr props, it's going to be outside. It's going to be relatively cold. We'll have to wait until the day of to see like wind and stuff like that. You don't want to, I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't want to forecast that a couple days in advance. Passing yards, 213, 215. I wouldn't play it. Carr is one of those guys in Kubiak's offense where he's not afraid to just kind of keep things close, keep things tight, matriculate down the field. I would probably play the under here. I lean the under. It's not a play, but I'd lean the under. MVS, his longest reception has been fun to play. So it was 18.5. We hit that a few times, moved it up to 20.5. He still hit it last game. So if you're looking for kind of a like super fun prop to play that has been cashing, it's MVS longest reception, and the Giants are absolutely horrific. 28th, absolutely horrific in pass defense. So it's not like you're betting into a good defense or anything. Beyond that, for the Saints, you kind of got to look at the tight end. So now both guys are questionable, so that does kind of hurt. But if Carr is going to throw the football around, I think your best bets are, let's see what Jawan is. So you can get Foster 1.5, Jawan 1.5, half. No, wait. Okay, 3.5. Damn, that seems high. I would not touch this. That is crazy high. That is crazy high. Yeah, 2.5 at FanDuel for 225. No thanks. Jawan getting 4 catches is crazy. I don't know about that. I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, you know how this offense is. It can just be a bunch of dumps, a bunch of runs. All of a sudden, Jawan has 2 catches. Foster has 2 catches. MVS has a couple catches. Kevin Austin has a couple catches. Like, who the hell knows? Malik Neighbors, so he's been banged up all week. Neighbors has been banged up all week, and he hadn't practiced, and he's limited. I think if you're going to, I don't think it'd be crazy to play his unders. He is the only thing the Saints should be concerned about stopping. So maybe play his unders. The high watermark 72.5. Play that under 6.5 receptions. That seems high too. I mean, it's hard not to just play his unders. But I mean, if he plays the whole game though, working on the universal truth, you're thinking like, okay, well, the Giants are going to be down. The Giants are going to be throwing. So kind of risky business singling out their best player. But with the injury factor, the Drew Luck factor, I don't know. I'd lean his under 72.5. I'd lean his under 6.5. Speaking of Drew Lock, so if we go to the man himself, pass attempts, 31.5. Let's see, pass yards, 190.5. I mean, again, like if they're losing and you think they're going to air it out, maybe you look at that. The Saints do give up passing yards. I mean, the Saints give up 400 yards to Jameis Winston and the Browns. Now, something else the Saints do not do well. The Saints do not stop the run well. They're 32nd in run defense. So Tyrone Tracy is who you got to look at there. So his rushing attempts is kind of high here. I was hitting this early in the year. I was playing this early on in the year, and then it seemed to kind of slow down. So let's see if it's going up again. Let's see. So Tracy has, so he had 18. Or no, this is in November. All right, so yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I was playing it in here. I was playing 20, 16, 18, but then look at the last 2 games. The last 2 games, 9 and 9. So that's kind of a far cry. Like 9 and 9 is a far cry from 15, especially in a game where you're sitting here thinking like, well, why the hell would they run the football? Why would they run the ball 15 times if the Saints are supposed to be winning? If the Saints are supposed to be dominating this game, why would they run? Why would they do that? So I can't give you anything there. I mean, if anything, maybe you think like If anything, maybe you're thinking about his yards. 62.5 at FanDuel. So let's see. Tracy's averaging 5 yards a carry. Saints are horrible against the run. So you're hoping he gets, but even then, like, I mean, if it's 62.5, you're talking about, so you got to think, does he get 13 carries? Because, I mean, 9, 10 carries doesn't get you there. 10 carries gets you to 50 yards. 11 gets you to 55. 12 gets you can do the math, son. 12 gets you to 60. So it's just one of those things where I don't know if you can really recommend this either, because if the Saints get up, you would think they're going to abandon the run. This is not a team that just, like, no matter what happens, we're pounding the rock. They were in the middle here, but then they just completely went away from it for some reason. I understand the Philly game is 28-3 and Philadelphia has a great defense, but to go from 18, 17, 20, 16, 18, and then all of a sudden turn that around, like, let's see Singletary. Oh, Devin. So Devin last played on Thanksgiving. He had 7 carries. Okay, so 7 carries for 23 yards. So Singletary played 11-28, 11-24. Okay, 11-10, 11-3. So 11-3, Tracy has 16. Singletary has 7. 11-10, Singletary has 8. He has 18. All right, and then 2 and 9 and 7 and 9. So I mean, there's nothing like super correlated there. The only thing that you can really tell from this is that, like, they had like a huge switch. Like, Singletary started off being the starter, and then there was an obvious switch where around October 6th, I guess he was out. I guess that's when he got hurt. So Singletary gets hurt. They make this full-time switch to Tracy, and Tracy never gives it up. Now, maybe it's a situation where, but I don't know why they would. Like, Tracy, I mean, he has 4 fumbles, I guess. Maybe it's a fumbling issue. He's had 3 fumbles in the last 3 games. So maybe it's including one that cost him the game. So maybe it's a situation where they're just getting closer to a 50-50, getting closer to kind of splitting them up. So, I mean, you really can't, I can't tell you to bet the over on Tracy. Now, Singletary, let's take a look. If he has like a 6.5 rush attempts, that seems like it would be a play. They only have, okay, let's see. So his is bet stamp slowing down for me. 6.5. I mean, how good am I? But again, like, you're talking about a game where you're expecting the universal truth of it kind of being out of hand. The universal truth of it being where, why would they be running the football? Maybe they just do. Like, maybe they just have to run the football. But again, like, how confident can you be in taking that bet? How confident can you be in Devin Singletary getting 7 carries? So let's look at Drew Lock. Let's do his stuff, and then So it's kind of an ugly game. I mean, it's just an ugly game with 2 bad teams. Very difficult to come down on a prop. The only things I'll probably have for this game, is, let's see here. All right, so Drew Lock on Thanksgiving has 32 attempts for 21 completions for 178 yards and a pick. Okay, so 32 completions in a relatively tight game. So they're right on it. So they're right on that. Let's see what his interception is. Interception, I mean, do you parlay the interception with Alvin Kamara touchdown? It's a thought. Now, one thing I'll leave you with, ladies and gentlemen, this is getting cute now. Alvin Kamara is 6 yards. He's 106 yards away from 1,000, I think. Yes, 107, we'll call it 107 yards from his first 1,000-yard season. Okay, so what I would do to get after that is he is at 79.5, okay? So you could take, It's called laddering, and you can ladder him to 100 yards and go over 79.5, and then like 85. Let's see if I can find it for you. If you go here, all right, so this is, so you can see it. So Alvin Kamara right here. So 80 plus is 130. Then you take 90 plus is plus 115. 100 plus is plus 160. So you play all of them. And you're hoping he goes over 100 and you hit every single one of them. That's called laddering. It's very fun. It's a good way to do it if you feel like you have a good read. If you have a good read on everything. Let's see. Longest rush. Kamara over 17.5. Let's see. Drew Lock rushing is interesting because the Saints do historically give up a little bit to running quarterbacks. I think Drew Lock is one of those guys who he's not afraid to run. Yeah, he ran 4 times for 57 yards against the Cowboys for 28-yard long. So maybe that's kind of the vibe. Maybe Drew Lock rushing isn't awful. Wait a second. We might have just found something. Drew Lock longest 9.5 I kind of like. Because if he's going to run, you would think he's going to try and escape and have like some 20, 25-yarder. Hold on now. We might have found something, ladies and gentlemen. And this is kind of how you do it. All right, now let's get to the game market. I want to look at that screen. So rushing, Drew Lock, 25 plus, no thanks. 15.5. Okay, 3.5 attempts. I don't hate that. I don't hate Drew Lock over 15.5. I don't hate his attempts, and I don't hate the longest. Maybe that's a vibe. I don't hate that at all. So I kind of like the idea of laddering the boy. With Alvin, playing his rushing overs up to 100. I kind of like the idea of Drew Lock, longest rush attempts, rushing yards. I kind of like what we're seeing here. I like the under, or lean the under. I don't like it. I probably won't play. I'm not a big fan of playing. I mean, it does make sense for the under, so maybe I will play it. I'll have to take a look. At that. But what I could confidently tell you is Alvin Kamara yards, ladder it, Drew Lock out of whichever rushing prop you like, Kendra Miller over his yards. And I think we're rocking and rolling. I think you got to feel good about that. It's a tough one. Weird game. We're going to cover the hell out of it. I hope you make some money. I hope we all make some money. I hope we cash some tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. Let me know what you're betting on. And I will see you in the next video.